If you're an AI filmmaker and you're looking to step up your consistent character game, then I've got just the workflow for you that's going to allow you to form the basis of creating not only the consistent character that you want, but a consistent character workflow that will allow you unlimited possibilities. And what we're going to be looking at today is Flux Kontext via Freepik. I'm going to show you some of the things that I've done and walk you through the entire workflow from start to finish, as well as introduce you to a little known text-to-image generator that's actually turning out to be pretty interesting. It's also in Freepik, and now that Freepik has introduced unlimited image generations, you could generate images to your heart's content without having to keep an eagle eye on your credit usage. Yes, you heard me correctly. Any and every image generator in Freepik is now free and unlimited. So stick around, we're going to get into all of that and more right now. What's going on, everyone? My name is Paul Donis Maximus. Thanks for checking out the AI Filmmaking Advantage. We're here, we talk about how to make and monetize AI filmmaking. And speaking of AI filmmaking, just as a quick update, if you saw my YouTube community tab, you saw that I'm a little bit delayed with the Discord community rollout that was supposed to take place this month because the AI cinematographer's MidJourney playbook is going to eventually transition into a community-only course along with other training. But I've been running into a lot of tech issues trying to get that set up. So what I've done is, for anyone who's ever thought about purchasing the AI cinematographer's MidJourney playbook and the deadline ran out on you, you went back to the page, you saw that the price had increased and you missed out. Since I'm a bit delayed in making the transition of that course to a community only enrollment, I've reset the deadline, and anyone who wants to get in for the low price that you initially saw, I've just given you a little more time to get in on the founder pricing. And for more information, all you have to do is go below this video, click the link, or scan the QR code on your screen, learn about all the amazing training my students are currently going through. We're definitely not done yet, there's more to come, and be sure to take advantage of this founder pricing for the AI cinematographer's MidJourney playbook and being able to enroll while it's still a standalone course. So once again, go below the video, click the link or scan the QR code, go ahead and enroll today before you forget, and let's go ahead and jump into the video. Okay, first things first, if you don't have a Freepik account, you're going to want to go over to freepik.com. That is Freepik. And again, if you don't have a plan, you're going to want to come here and select your plan. Now, I will tell you this, I have been on the Premium Plus plan since I joined Freepik however long ago. I think it was back in October of 2024. And they just added this unlimited generations and editing of images to both the Premium Plus plan and the Pro plan. And I don't actually use Topaz with Freepik. I have Topaz Video AI on my desktop, but you can upscale images up to 10K resolution with Magnific and videos up to 4K with Topaz Video AI. You also get early access to selected AI features, and you can buy extra credits with discounts. So yeah, that's very interesting. I've noticed that with a lot of AI companies is that they gate the ability to buy extra credits on certain plans. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're using Freepik for not only image generation, but you're also doing video generation. I know it's kind of crazy, but I don't do video generation in Freepik, though I probably should since I'm spending money there, but I tend to do my video generations elsewhere, like at Kling and at Higgsfield and at Runway and at Google Veil. That's why I don't need the $250 Pro plan, which gets you a shit ton of credits, but it's just as costly as it would be if you got Google Ultra, which comes with Gemini 2.5 Pro, which is awesome. But I just wanted to give you guys the context of where I'm starting from in this entire process, just in case things are a bit different for you if you're not on the same plan that I am. Okay, once you're signed up for Freepik, or if you're already signed up for Freepik, we're going to want to get into Freepik. And I'm starting here from their homepage. There's a lot here. I'm not going to scroll through it because we're not doing a walkthrough of Freepik. I'll look to do a complete walkthrough in a different video. We just need to get into the actual interface. And what I'm going to do is just click Generate Image. Okay, so now we're here. And again, this can be a bit confusing. What you want to do is click on History if you've already been generating images with Freepik. And that's where I'm going to start from today. demo everything that I'm going to discuss in this video. Now, what I want to do is first walk you through the process of how I did all of this. And if there's time, I'll actually do another image to where I go through the entire process from the beginning. And if there's also time, I'll also do a different image, which will start with the import of the image. But if I feel this video is getting too long, then I'll just create a separate video for that particular process. Now, the process I started with is an image that I already had in Freepik. And no, I'm not saying you need to go and make some tatted avatar, but that's what I'm using for this particular demonstration. Now, here's why this process is a bit different and why it's a bit more important when it comes to doing consistent characters at this moment for image reference mostly. You're gonna sometimes find that images that you created elsewhere and then try to bring to something to do an image reference off of, the AI is going to change the look entirely, but the look that you get is in fact the one you should be iterating off of, because now the AI has made the image in the AI's image. I know that may sound a bit complicated. I'm going to explain it right now. So again, if I were to just do Flux Kontext and just start iterating off this image, and I'll show you what that means in terms of iterating off of an image, she would inevitably change. And I don't want to waste time demonstrating that to you. I'm just going to show you how to do it in a way that's going to be consistent for you. So again, let's say I want an image like this, as close to this person in this image as possible. This is what I'm going to do. So again, the image is already in Freepik. I'm going to say use, and then I'm going to say get prompt for this image. Click that, and this is the prompt that it gives me. And as you can see, it's a bit weak. If you're in the AI cinematographer's MidJourney playbook, you already know that we used a pretty structured and a bit more advanced prompting structure for our images, but we're just going to roll with what the AI gave us just to show you that you don't have to be fancy with this initially. So this is the first way you can do it, and this is the other thing that I'm going to introduce you to. I just found out, I mean, I've probably seen it around, but I really didn't pay much attention to it, but I've just found out about this new image gen that Freepik actually recently added probably a week ago, or maybe a week or two ago, but it's called Seedream or Seedream. I'm willing to bet that it's Seedream, and it's by ByteDance, I believe. And you can also use it in FAL, F-A-L, but it's here in Freepik. I pay for Freepik, so I've been using it. So what I did was I selected Seedream, ran the prompt, and these were the generations that I got. And again, as you can see, the AI radically changed what the chick looked like, but the image itself is not too bad if you ask me. Honestly, it looks like something that you'd get out of MidJourney, and the images themselves, the variations, they look pretty consistent in terms of who this person is. Like, I don't know about you, but it's literally the same chick. The difference being that the variations have variations in the tattoos, so obviously you wouldn't want to use all four of these images because again, the tattoos are different. Face looks a bit the same, but what you'd in fact want to do, which is what I'm going to show you, is to find one of the images that you like out of the bunch and then start to iterate off of that. And again, this is Seedream, and guys, it looks pretty amazing to me so far. I'm going to play with this a bit more. I actually did in another generation that I was playing with. These images came out pretty good for that aesthetic that I was going for. So I accidentally discovered that this tool is pretty awesome. So just wanted to put that out there if you're using Freepik. So far, so good. And again, I mean, it stands up against Flux. Like, it doesn't have the Flux face, which is what I like. And I would say that it's aesthetically on par with MidJourney. Of course, I'm going to be more biased to MidJourney since that's literally what I use 99.9999% of the time. But there you have it. And again, this is another example that I just ran again with the same exact prompt that I got from the AI. And again, as you can see, it's pretty much the same exact prompt that you just saw me generate, but that's what I did. I used the image, got the prompt, ran it, and these are the images that I got. And again, Seedream looks pretty amazing so far. Now, I didn't prompt for the cyberpunk background, but hey, I'll take it. This looks pretty good as well, and that worked out. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. We then want to go back to the image that we were working on, and then I'm going to click use again, and then I'm going to click style reference. Now, what you want to immediately note right here is when we did the style reference, this flag popped up and the model changed to Flux 1.0. And that is because, at least as of right now, you can only use Flux 1.0 for style references. I thought I saw something that it also works with Mystique. Let's see right quick. So it does work with Mystique, but up to what point? Okay, so it goes away. Let me just see what this goes up to right quick. Style reference. So it works with Mystic 2.5. Does it work with Flexible? No. Anyway, you'll get the flag from Freepik and you can go through and iterate through which ones it may or may not work with, but definitely, you know, right now it works with Mystic and it works with Flux 1.0. Since I did my testing with Flux 1.0 earlier, that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to click on the thing again and I'm just going to click style reference. I'm going to let it flip over to Flux 1.0. It defaults to 4 images and I'm going to leave it square because if you've noticed, or if you may have not noticed, images more toward the portrait mode are going to do better for getting full body shots. And then I proceeded to hit the generate button, and these are the images that I got with the role for image reference with Flux 1.0. And since they don't really show you that data other than what you use, I'll go ahead and roll it right in front of you just so you get an idea of what we're doing here. So I'll click generate, and this is what we got out of that. And I would probably say out of the 4, I probably like this one and I probably like this one. And again, guys, as I mentioned, the AI is going to reimagine your image in its image, and that's what's going to allow you to iterate off of what you got. So if you got something like this and you're like, okay, let's go with this, then that's where you do your consistent iterations off of. So again, it doesn't look exactly like the reference image, but it has the features. The platinum blonde hair. Well, this is blonde. I wouldn't say it's platinum, but Daenerys, maybe because the sun is hitting it from the behind. Wait, that doesn't work. Okay, maybe the way the sun is hitting it makes it look more. Maybe the way the sun is hitting her hair makes it look a bit more yellowish, but I could say it could pass for platinum as well. And then she's got the tattoos and the shorts and the white shirt. Same thing going on with this one. She's got a tank top like the original one, tattoos, platinum hair, Caucasian female. Now the next example we're going to get to is using Flux Kontext. But before we do that, I want to say that if you are going to use your own prompts, then you're going to want to turn this AI prompt thing off, because as it says, if you flip it on, it's supposed to improve short prompts and generate diverse variations. As you can see, it was working pretty well with it turned on. But again, if you've come up with your own prompt, definitely turn that off. And I'll also say that if on your first roll you didn't like what you got, all you'd hit is generate more, like that, and then 4 more will appear. So these 4 images were what I got when I used the reference image and the prompt that Freepik gave me. Now I would say out of those 4, I probably like this one the best. And sorry, I almost forgot, there's one more I need to show you, which is Reimagine. And it's the same process where you start with the original image. And let me clear this right quick just so you can see what happens when I do this, if anything happens. So let's see, I'm going to click use. So I don't actually use this a lot, but let's see how this process works. I'm going to click Reimagine. It then takes the image and the prompt. And the other thing that it does in this regard is that it allows you to change certain parameters of the prompt like that. And of course you can switch it out for your own, but that's what that looks like. And then you hit the Reimagine button. You're actually going to get a lot of generations, because what happens is that for Reimagine, it flips to the Flux model and you only have the option of Flux or Classic Fast, which is Freepik's own image generator. And as you can see right here, it says Reimagine. So that's the exact same process that I just walked you through. And I'm not going to re-roll it because I've already got a bunch of images here. Even though I've got unlimited images, I don't want to clutter my workspace with a lot of images that I may not end up doing anything with, and then got to sort through all of them trying to get to something that I may want to get to that I created 3 months ago. So here's some examples from this batch. And of course you'd want to upscale these images because they don't look all that great just from the outset in terms of the image quality. And when you're picking your images, you're definitely going to want to use your AI eye. Those of you who are in the AI cinematographer, the MidJourney playbook, know exactly what I'm talking about. Basically, look for weird stuff that doesn't make sense. Like right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't really passed as a thumb for me, so I don't know if this image would be usable, but what you could always do is to upscale the image, especially within Freepik, using their classic upscaler and using something like subtle or wild, and see what the image turns out to look like. That way, I also have Topaz Bloom and I also have Topaz Photo AI, both on my desktop, and that tends to improve images dramatically as well. And rather than leave you hanging, maybe I'll just go ahead and demonstrate that right quick. I promise we're getting to Flux Kontext right after this, but I just want to avoid people hitting me up in the comments section complaining about not only why didn't I upscale the image in the video, but why didn't I animate it? I don't have to do everything. Chill the F out, but I will do this for you guys. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and just take the exact same prompt that it gave me, because we could easily kick off the Flux Kontext protocol right here. You see Flux Kontext Pro is already set. You've also got Flux Kontext Max, but all we're going to actually do is click the upscale button. We're going to click the classic upscaler and we're going to click subtle. That's going to change her look a little bit. I'm going to use the same prompt. You don't have to add a prompt, but since I have it, I'm going to do it anyway. I hit the upscale button. That's doing that. And then I'm also going to go over to the wild setting just to see what that looks like. Click upscale. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I tend to avoid vivid. It just kind of looks even wilder, and it's usually not a look I'm interested in, so I just skip over it. And let's see what we ended up with. And so that doesn't look too bad. That absolutely cleans up the background, makes it much more sharper, gives her a different look, I would say an even more attractive look, but we still have the problem with the fingers. What you could do is to animate the image and tell her to have her hands by her side and then grab the frame from that, and then you've got your still, and then you can do your images. That's one way of doing it, but again, if it turns out to be a bad image, just use a different image. And this is what it looks like with the wild upscale setting with the classic upscaler in Freepik. I tend to like this look as well. Her fingers have changed a bit. They look to have improved some, but these fingers have nail polish, these don't, but you know, doesn't really matter in the scheme of things. It's not too dissimilar, but again, the image got even better, but you have a choice. If you don't want to go for that look, go for subtle. Now you know what that looks like. Okay, now the moment you've been waiting for. Let's get into Flux Kontext. And if some of you were wondering what that last roll looked like that we did, where I just said generate more images, this is what it came out looking like. Not too bad, not too bad, not too bad. Okay, now what I've done is I've gone from my creations to switching over to the edit tab, because I want to see if what I did with Flux Kontext earlier actually held. This was the image that I started with, but I don't see the images that I did the iterations off of. But guess what? I recorded this out of order, so you're getting it anyway. But basically, here's what we did. I took one of the images that generated with Seedream. I then clicked on edit image, and this is how I kicked off the character consistency iterations with Flux Kontext Pro. Now I want to demonstrate really quickly why it's important when you're trying to do reference images to have your character facing the camera, at least if that's what you're going to be starting with, because what ends up happening is that you'll get consistency. For instance, I'm going to show you the tattoos, even the neck tattoo, the chest tattoo, the hair color, but the face changes a bit if the character is starting to look a different direction, and that's because the AI is trying to guess what your character looks like. So I'm going to demonstrate that really quickly just to show you what I mean. So I'm going to come right here and I'm going to say something like change the background to show her sitting next to a waterfront. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to hit run. And again, you get unlimited generations with Freepik, which is awesome. And this is what she looks like if I change the background to show her sitting next to a waterfront. I didn't expect the bench to go away. I was just expecting the background to change, but that's fine. So this is the image that I did the reference off of, and I'm trying to show you the image that they generated, but it's not pulling back up. Let's see if I do something like this. I was in it a minute ago, and what I ended up doing was generating another look, and then I was able to switch it that way. So let's do that. So this image actually brought it back in line to how she looks like originally, and you can see that the tattoos mostly remain the same and the look mostly remains the same. And this is what I was expecting right here, to still have the bench and then have the background look a bit different. So as you can see, you can continue to roll these generations to get something closer to what you wanted. And again, I'm going to go back to the reference image right here, and again, it looks a bit slightly different, but again, the angle changes with her slightly. So the look changes a bit slightly, if that makes sense. But you do see that Flux Kontext does do what you want in terms of changing various things. I've already changed her hair from blonde to Kool-Aid red, and then to turquoise, and then now I've changed the background. So again, here was the step before that, and this was the step before that, and this was the step before that, and this was the original image that I kicked everything off with. Okay, let's do one more, since in the previous example I showed you an example of someone not facing the camera. Let's use one of these images where someone's actually facing the camera. Now, these are the Flux 1.1 Reimagine images, and I'm just going to flip through some of them to find an image that I want to use. I don't like that on top of her head. I could use the erase tool and do that, but I'm not. Gonna keep looking. Nope. That's the one we worked on earlier and upscaled. And if I were you, I wouldn't do any of your Flux Kontext stuff off of an image that you've upscaled, because you're going to end up having to upscale it again. And if you do multiple upscales on one image, it's just going to start looking crazy. So I definitely don't recommend that. And let's see. I'm going to go with this one because out of all of them, she has the least looking crazy hands. And what I'm going to do is click edit image, and let's actually see if we can bring both of her hands down to her side. Make her stand upright with both hands by her side. And again, the great thing about this process is it's not destructive. So you still have your original image, and all they're giving you is a preview of what you could potentially use. So if I wanted to use this one, I could do that, or I'll just click more and see what else comes up. And we got this right here. I mean, they both look pretty much the same. I would say her right leg, when it comes a bit more forward, it makes this tattoo look a bit different, and maybe a bit the same for the, I say left, but it's her right, so sorry. So the other leg, I meant her left leg, which is my right side. And then there we go with that. It's still kind of the same. I mean, because the leg position is different. And again, she's maintaining that consistency in terms of look. If you go back and forth, that changes slightly, but I mean, I think you could get away with it. And let's compare it to the original image, which is this one right here. I would say that looks pretty consistent to me. Boom, boom. So boom, wait, 1, 2, 3. Now, I will say one of the things that I've found to be an issue with Freepik's interface is when you want to get back to the original image, it's somewhat a bit difficult. So like I'm trying to click out of this and make it return back to the original image, which kind of shows up if you hover your mouse or your pointer in the middle of both of those images. But ideally, you'd want to click and have that image show up. Let's see what happens if we click this refresh button. Nothing happens. Okay. So let's just pick one of these. I'm going to go with this one right here, or let's see. Yeah, let's just go with this one right here. I'm going to click done. Here is the redhead and the turquoise head chick that prior to the pre-recorded section, I told you I couldn't find. Sometimes that happens to where the interface is a bit confusing, to where you don't see images and then you do stuff and you end up working in a, I would say, workspace that already has something in it. And another image that I took from here later on and did something with. So now I don't see my original image, but I know it's in here somewhere. This is what we got. Just keep that in mind as you're working through this. Let's do one more thing. Make her shorts black. I mean, we got black shorts, so I think that worked out pretty well. I'm going to hit done. You can hit save or done. I guess if you still want to iterate more, you can do it here. But if you're done, you click the done button and it's going to go back to the interface. And let's do something with Flux Kontext Max. I've heard other creators say that it goes a bit off the rails when you use Max and people prefer to keep it at Pro. But that was a little bit ago, so I don't know if anything's changed since then. But let's check it out. Make her eyes sea green. And again, you can iterate off of this and not do anything to your original image if you don't want any of what they're giving you. So that looks kind of crazy, and that's definitely not the look that I was going for. So maybe that prompt is no good. Let's just say, make her eyes blue. So Flux Kontext Max is definitely, I would say, overpowered, but we'll check and see what it does with Pro. That kind of wouldn't work because it looks much more comical, something like you'd see in a superhero movie, you know, if this person was a superhero or something, or an alien. But let's go ahead and see what we get when we try just doing it with Flux Kontext Pro. Make her eyes blue. And maybe in the prompt I could have said a natural color blue. I don't know, but we'll see. So you still got that glowing of the eyes going on there, and then you notice that the background kind of highlights. In order for it to achieve that effect, I'm going to do one more thing. Make her eyes a natural blue color. I would say that's still too blue to pass for, you know, a realistic look, but this is what we can do. We'll see what happens if we just take this and we're going to upscale it using the classic upscaler, and I'm going to copy the prompt. I'm just going to drop it right here. I'm going to do a subtle upscale and I'm going to do a wild upscale. And another pro tip, before you do any upscaling, like if you settled on this image and that's what you were going to use and you wanted to animate it in 16:9 or 4K, go ahead and click the resize button, click 16:9. You can use the same prompt or you can leave it blank, but this process right here is called generative fill. You hit the enter button. Don't show me that again, but I'm using an incognito browser, so of course it will. And it's going to imagine what the background should look like with the rest of it. But you also run into this issue of the blending, so you have to be careful because obviously this over here doesn't look like that. And maybe it can be fixed with upscaling, I don't know. Now this right here matches much better than what we just saw. And again, if none of these worked, you could roll some more. Again, it's unlimited if you're on the Premiere Plus plan or the Pro plan, and then you hit done. And to get out of this, it can be very tricky. If you didn't know, all you'd have to do is click the X button. When you get into these certain things, the way you back out of them is to look for the little X. It took me forever to figure that out, just so you know. But let's see what those upscales did. So that, wow, that completely changed the look, which is much more in line with something that I would want to use. So that's the subtle upscale. Let's see what happened with the wild upscale. And it does a little bit more to her in her face and things like that, but those eyes are not as crazy like they were back over here with the original image, right? So we went from that to either this or this, this or this. But again, just keep in mind, we just upscaled this image and it's currently at 2K. So if you decided you liked this look and wanted to do Flux Kontext off of this, just know that further upscaling, because the image is likely going to change in terms of image quality as you're iterating off of it, just know that further upscaling is likely going to degrade your image. Play around with it. Another thing you can do, full of all of these Freepik tips, again, I promise you guys I'll do that full video, is if let's say that you did something and it kind of stayed okay, what you could do is go to upscale, classic, or maybe the magnific upscaler. I don't use it much, but it slaps here and there, but I tend to favor the classic one a lot more. What you could do is say 2K resolution none, and I don't know if it then takes your image up to 4K or if it just overwrites with another 2K version. That's something you'd have to test yourself, but that would help you to preserve the image as well. So as I mentioned earlier, if this video ran long, then I would do a separate video of me taking an image and uploading it into Freepik and showing you the process that way. And so I'll do a separate video for that, and then I'll also introduce you to another upscaler that I'm using, which is Topaz Bloom, and it is pretty badass. So what are you guys' thoughts about Freepik, Flux Kontext, creating consistent characters, iterating off of an image, either a reference image or a prompt, or reimagining an image? And also, what are your thoughts about the image generation tool Seedream? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below this video. And as always, if you got any value out of this video, if you like these tutorials, lengthy or not, then be sure to hit the thumbs up button so that YouTube knows you enjoy this type of content, and also be sure to subscribe to the channel so not only does it tell YouTube that you enjoy this content, that you want to be alerted when we drop the next video. So once again, my name is Paul Maximus. Thanks for checking out this video. Please join me in the next one.